Hello everyone, Floppy Waffle 69 here, and today we got a special treat. That is, at least for me, because this has to be the most sought after ship in my opinion, and I wanted this ship now, ever since it was first, I guess, announced by Wargaming on the development, blog, I don't know how long ago. This is the Tier 10 German light cruiser, the Bremen. This is going to be costing you 39,000 steel in this year's Steel Will event, and this ship should need no introduction. This is one of three ships. I know there's the Aki, the Hawaii, and then if you really want to include the Valparaiso as being like that other big one that people are like seeking, right? But this was the one that I wanted. As a cruiser main, it was really between two ships. It was between the Hawaii and it was between the Bremen. And for years, I've been training Gunther Luchins on my mines, anticipating a light cruiser tech line, hopefully down the road, right? And Wargaming didn't give us that. They gave us the Panzerschiff line that I've already done a down the line series. You're more than welcome to check that on my channel. But instead, now they've given us a premium variant of the mines here at Tier 10. And I think the question that everyone was asking themselves was, is this ship worth it? Is it going to be any good? Well, let me put it this way. You have just slightly under, like in regards of AP DPM, just ever so slightly underneath the Colbert, which is the king of AP DPM at Tier 10 for cruisers. And I believe you're within the top 10 for HE DPM at Tier 10 as well, which again are both respectable numbers given the fact you have 16 150mm guns. 16 guns. I can only imagine what battleships will be feeling when the HE is raining down upon them at long ranges, right? And that's what this ship is going to bring. I am truly excited about this ship that I actually saved up my steel and bought this ship outright for the steel. I know that the Aki and the Hawaii were both obtained via golden Santa crates by me. So this was the only ship that I actually wanted, and I came up to the conclusion, like, I'm going to purchase this ship, and I want this ship. And I already told you why, because of the whole mines, thing with me, with the training of Gunther Luchins on my mines. And now I have gradually shifted him over here onto the Bremen, so he will indeed be bouncing back to and from until there is a Tier 10, German light cruiser that is a tech line cruiser that I will actually train him over as well, so he will bounce between all three. And usually on my channel, I don't like doing this with my commanders. I usually just train one commander per the ship that I want them to be on. But in this case, I have already been doing so I will go ahead and bounce them back and forth because that is just me, and I really do like this ship. Short opinion on this ship. Do I recommend you obtain this ship? Oh, hell yes. This is a phenomenal ship, and I like this. And again, I'm sure you guys have seen now across, flooding YouTube, flooding Reddit, all the forums, whatever it is, that this ship is a good ship. And I can 100% back that. I really do like this ship. Is it balanced, though? I think if I'm looking at the Aki, if I'm looking at the Hawaii, and I'm looking at the Bremen, oh man, this is tough because I don't really know. I would probably say it's a little bit on the strong side, but I wouldn't go as far to call this thing overpowered. That's just my opinion. But yeah, she is quite strong. 16 guns, reloading in about 5-something seconds. That's already going to be a recipe for disaster in regards of the HE spamming potential that thing is going to have. But also on the flip side, we already know that German cruisers and German ships in general already have very potent high alpha AP, and this thing definitely brings that to the table as well. It is not uncommon to absolutely chunk ships on their broadsides with this armor piercing. I'm talking 10k levels of damage, and that's just with 150mm guns. Yes, you get 16 though, but I digress, okay? But like I do always on this channel, I will review these ships. I will look at this ship, here in port with my little port analysis, and then I will go ahead, give some tips and tricks on her as well, and I will go ahead and showcase some gameplay in her also there towards the end of the video. Guys, I cannot recommend this ship enough. I definitely think this ship is well worth the steel spent on her, and I believe you're going to get a lot out of her as well. So like we always do, let's go ahead and look at statistics of this ship. Now, if you're looking at this ship from an aesthetic point of view, the first thing that I saw when looking at the ship, I go, is this not a Clausewitz? At tier 11 down at tier 10? And more or less, it is similar in regards of its aesthetic. I don't want to get that confused. I'm not saying this thing is a down-tiered Clausewitz. I'm just saying purely from the look of it looks like a Clausewitz. And here's a little bit of a reference point. Are there little different intricacies here and there? Yes, there are. Okay, there are little different intricacies here and there. But more or less, it essentially takes the same kind of aesthetic look of the Clausewitz and brings us to here at tier 10 in a light cruiser format. Okay. Now, again, massive armor values changing between the Clausewitz to the Bremen. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and showcase that here. First things first, you have a 25 millimeter nose, 25 millimeter ass with only a 30 millimeter deck with this 30 millimeter armor belt side as well. Where the Clausewitz, I believe, has a 50 millimeter deck and a 27 millimeter nose and ass. We strip away some of the armor levels. You will see that you do have quite a bit of a turtleback here. This will help you against cruisers, but against battleships, guys, this is really not going to do much. Again, the larger the caliber, the more likely they're going to bypass this torpedo, or not torpedo, but my bad, Citadel armor plating, right? And then once we strip away the turtleback as well, you will see that you have your armor slopes, which are 60 millimeters, which are nice. But again, you're most likely going to be getting citadeled if you are showcasing any amount of broadside at medium to long ranges to enemy battleships. And you do have a slightly above water citadel, as you can see right then and there, that this ship does stick up and about. Plunging fire is lethal against this ship. This ship will eat citadels, guys. Moving on into the survivability of the ship, 51,700 with that 16% torpedo belt reduction. Again, the ship doesn't want to be eating torpedoes, and you get access to the German typical 6-kilometer hydro for enemy ship detection, and then the 4-kilometer torpedo acquisition here at tier 10. So this thing is super flexible when it comes to the hydroacoustic search. So you realistically speaking shouldn't be eating torpedoes anyways, right? If we're maneuvering appropriately. Okay. Moving into the artillery, this is like I said, this is the 4x4 150 millimeter main battery on this ship. Again, it is reloading with the build that I currently have on this thing. It is reloading in 4.7. I believe stock, this ship is rocking around a 5.3 second reload. So again, I will highly recommend to take the main battery reload, or not main battery reload, but the main battery modification 3 on this ship. I don't really think it needs the range. Again, this is just the build that I'm using. If you're using a lighthouse build or anything like that, that's obviously going to change things, which this ship can run a lighthouse build. But the one that I'm going to be recommending to you guys is not the lighthouse build, because I think it's going to be a little bit more I guess a little bit easier to play in regards to Lighthouse. You have to have a lot of cruiser experience, a lot of minimap awareness, a lot of ship awareness and knowledge in this game to really make use of that Lighthouse build. So this was the one I'm going to recommend for you guys. Again, 180-degree turn time, we're looking at 27.2 seconds. Again, that is just a little bit higher than the 23.7 than what it comes with, just because of the build I have running on this ship. Again, your maximum range on this thing is 18.1 kilometers. So that, again, is why I recommend not taking the whatever it is, the gun battery modification 2, which extends the range, because you already have 18.1, plus you get access to the spotter aircraft. So again, if you need to push out to greater ranges, you already have that at your disposal. So you really don't need to spec into it any further, and you can go ahead and get your DPM higher. Looking at the high explosive, again, we have an anemic 1700 with an 8% fire chance on this thing, but it goes ahead and pens 38 millimeters of armor. Thank you, quarter pen mechanic, for the Germans. Then again, going over to the armor piercing, we do have 3900, which is very nice for our 150s. Again, both are coming out of the barrels at 960 meters a second. And again, with the build I have on my commander plus signal flags, you can get that fire chance up to 10%, which is going to be lethal when it comes to our HE shells. Again, just the 8%, that gives us about 14.5 fires a minute. Again, you can only imagine what that's going to get us up to when we have 10% fire chance. Again, that's going to get up there with our fires per minute, guys. Very, very nice. Very, very comfortable shells, too, to lead. Though I will say, once you're pushing out, let's say around 19, 20 kilometers, if you have that if you have that spotter plane active, it will be a bit of a lead you'll have to take on a lot of battleships, cruisers, God forbid, destroyers. So just keep that in mind, too. This ship really does excel at that medium to longer ranges, not just longer ranges, okay? Again, I will showcase the gun firing angles here for you as well. They're not terrible, but you will be having to showcase, especially in the pre-kited position and pushing in. Those back turrets, I believe, have a 25-degree angle that they're going to have to showcase. So you're going to have to showcase a decent amount of side in order to get those off, though. But that's, again, why I recommend taking the steering gears modification 1. And I know a lot of people are going to be up in arms. They say, Floppy, please take the propulsion mod. It's going to be better, blah, blah, and so on. So, and even the game recommends it. Look, for me personally, I understand the engine juking. I get it, and it works. It all 100% works, and I've played with that. But I found more success using the steering gears, and that's just going to come down to me being able to dodge incoming shells, more so relying on the engine juking potential of the ship. I want to make sure that I'm shooting all 16 guns on target, and I feel like having that active maneuvering capability of my rudder shift being faster rather than that engine stopping and going, it's just going to be a little bit more beneficial for me. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm going to recommend that. But again, if you have more success with the propulsion mod on this ship, hey, by all means, guys, go ahead and use that propulsion mod. Looking at the secondary battery on the ship, 10 times 2, 128 millimeters. Again, they can go ahead and pen 32 millimeters of armor. Only a measly 1,500 damage with a 5% fire chance, and a maximum range of 8.7 kilometers. Now, this is the first thing I'm going to tell you. Please don't build this ship for secondaries. It's just not a secondary ship. Don't do that. There are other German cruisers if you want to, I guess, play that play style, you could get away with it. This ship doesn't really excel at those closer ranges. I think, again, medium to longer ranges is where you want to play this ship. You're going to get the most out of her. At the end of the day, guys, she is only a light cruiser. But again, the Germans have that distinguishing feature, just like the Russians. Their light cruisers tend to be a little bit on the heavier side. So they can get away with a little bit more punishment than I think a lot of other nations' light cruisers, okay? Moving into the torpedoes, and again, this is where a little bit of differences happen again from like other ships and from other German light cruisers like the Mainz. The Mainz only has 6-kilometer torpedoes. This puppy is bringing 12-kilometer torpedoes, okay? Reloading in 147 seconds with a maximum damage of 533, 50 knots, and a detectability range of 1.2, allowing us a reaction time of, or the enemy, an 8.9 second reaction time. Nice torpedoes, 12 kilometers. What this tells me is this ship doesn't like to get into the brawling ranges. These are going to be more or less throwing torpedoes out as it's kiting, and hopefully something runs into these torpedoes. I found these torpedoes incredibly useful. And hopefully you will too when you play this ship. It really supplements the play style of the ship very, very well. Going into the AA defenses of the ship, and actually it is worth talking about the AA defenses of the ship because I found the AA of the ship actually not bad for a German ship. Flat count of 5.1. We're looking at their long range, which goes 6 kilometers, about 126. Medium range at 4 kilometers, 284. And of course our short range at 3 kilometers at 280. Or 298. Really, really nice. Again, you can, if you so choose, want to drop the hydroacoustic search and take the defensive AA fire consumable. I highly recommend you do not do that with this ship. I think the hydroacoustic search is just going to be, all in all, a better consumable to use in more situations. And again, you're not guaranteed an aircraft carrier every game. So hydroacoustic search is going to be just, I guess, more useful and more impactful in more games. And again, it is an improved hydro because you have the 6-kilometer detection and the 4-kilometer torpedo detection. So again, it's just going to be better. So you could see with my upgrade slotted on the ship, I'm already packing 464 continuous damage. And I'll make sure that I'll highlight that in game if there are any CV games that I was happening to get in, or any hybrid games showcasing the AA as well. Very respectable AA suite. Again, this AA suite isn't going to deter carriers by any means, but they will suffer a little bit of plane losses every now and then when they come to strike your ship. Again, if they're striking you, that means they're going towards the back end of the flank or the map in order to strike you. Or if you're a lone ranger, which again I highly recommend you're not, that's the only reason they really would be striking you, because you're not going to be up in the fray, and more so or often they should be striking ships like that have radar, ships that are a damage control party and it's down, or especially those destroyers, right? You'll know the difference between a good CV player and one that really doesn't know what they're doing based upon not just striking this ship, but understanding who they're striking and when. Going to the maneuverability. Again, typical German fashion, we have 32.5 knots. This isn't particularly fast by any means. I think if we're looking at the maneuverability of the ships, And we go to the max speed. I think that the German ships usually tend to be towards the bottom. Hindenburg being tied with the Plymouth at 31.5 knots, and then the Bremen comes in just slightly ahead of the Gibraltar and Monmouth, who have 32.0 knots. This has 32.5 knots, tied with like the Petropavlovsk, for an example. Don't have access to a speed boost, thank God. I'm sick and tired of all these ships coming out lately that have the speed boost. We don't really need the game to be getting faster and faster and faster. I wouldn't mind actually slowing the game down and introducing more, slower lines. And I can't believe I'm calling 32.5 knots slow nowadays, okay? But 32.5 knots is your maximum speed. Of course, you can get that up and supplement that with the Sierra Mike flag. Turning circle radius, I believe, is 840 meters on this ship. And then with the rudder shift time, it is 9.3. Again, stock, it's going to be 11.6. So again, getting down to sub 10 is super nice, and that's again one reason why I'm doing it. It's perfectly plausible to play with 11.6 rudder, though it's just me, and I think that the rudder shift, in my opinion, allowed me to play better than just the propulsion mod. Okay. Again, the acceleration to reach top speed, you're looking at 27.6 knots, and that has to do with the engine power and the tonnage of the ship, which is around 22,000 tons. Okay. Moving into the final little, I guess, what do you call this, drop-down menu, which is the concealment. With the build that I am running, I do go ahead and take the concealment systems modification 1. If you're doing the full lighthouse spec, 100% drop that and go ahead and take steering gears mod 2. Then your ship is really going to be able to turn and stop on a dime. Of course, because then you're taking the prop mod in the, slot 4, because you're taking double rudder, or the other rudder shift mod in slot 5. This go ahead and gets me down to 14.5, and that's where it's going to stay, because with the commander that I have, I don't spec concealment expert on the guy. Oh, sorry, I do spec concealment expert on this guy just because I believe that the concealment is just going to be a little bit more game impactful when it comes to more games, more often than not. So I think I'd go ahead and get it down to 13.1 kilometers. Again, you could try to drop concealment expert and keep around 14.5, but at that regard, you're already beating like a Moskva and a Stalingrad for your detection, so you might as well just go full lighthouse build at that point. There's really no semi-lighthouse build on this thing. Either you go full invested in no concealment and maximum DPM possible, or you go full concealment with this thing, which is 13.1. Again, for a light cruiser, this is pretty damn high. And we see that with the mines too, down at tier 8. I believe a max stealth build on the mines is only clocking in at 12 kilometers base. So German light cruisers tend to have higher detectability. So that's why, again, to make these puppies work, I am investing in the concealment. And again, another stat to keep in mind is, detectability after firing your main guns in smoke is actually pretty high at 9.8. So smoke screens are going to have to be laid more towards the back where you can sit in them, if that, and most likely, unless you're playing in a division, no one's realistically going to be dropping them for you because you're already in the back of the map anyways, right? Because that's, again, telling you where these ships are, kind of like pushing you towards how the ship is supposed to be played. And that's kind of how I anticipate this ship. But anyways, guys, that is all the statistics on the vessel. I will go ahead and just showcase the consumables here you have on the ship. Like I've already mentioned, you do have that heel, you do have the hydroacoustic search, which is that German hydroacoustic search, and you do have that spotter plane as well. And here is the commander build on the ship. I'll touch on this ever so briefly. For my first 10 points, I am taking Grease the Gears, and I am supplementing that with Demolition Expert because I want to get that extra 1% coupled with the signal flags. That pops me to 10% a chance of fires with my HE shells, which again is lethal with the ship, especially when I'm reloading every 4.7 seconds. Then I went ahead and actually took Adrenaline Rush. Now, obviously, you can take Superintendent first, and I highly recommend you do that because that's going to bump you up to an additional heal on this ship, which I believe if we're looking at it, I think you only have 3 heals base, so with that extra Superintendent, you're actually going to go ahead and get 4 heals. Again, I took ahead and went with the Concealment Expert, dropping my detectability down to 13.1. I immediately went ahead, took Top Grade Gunner. Yes, it boosts your secondary battery reload time. Don't really give a fuck about that. I'm mainly focused on that main battery reload time. It's going to get a -8% increase when it is within my 13.1 kilometer detectability. Then either take Adrenaline Rush or a Superintendent, depending on who you didn't take yet. And then I went ahead and took Survivability Expert. Now, this skill you can drop if you so choose. This is just something that I took to give myself some extra HP. If you want to take Focus Fire Training, in order to bolster your AA. If you want to pack a punch to increase your torpedo damage and your secondary battery firing range, you can go ahead and do that as well. Or you can go ahead and take Eye in the Sky to help you with your range with your spotter plane, right? But with this build, I took Survivability Expert, and then I went ahead and took Incoming Fire Lift. There's a lot of different things you could go for on this ship. This just so happens to be what I chose to do, because I want to make sure that my light cruiser is maximizing its DPM with regards to its stealth build and having a lot of tools at its disposal. This thing's greatest strength is just pumping 16 shells down range every 4.7 seconds. And that's where I really found the strength of this ship. There is no secret gimmick how to play this ship. There is no like, ooh, like you're supposed to do this, definitely don't do that. Like, it's pretty straightforward how you play this ship, and now you get 16 guns, which is lethal of that 150 millimeters. So, but yeah, guys, that is the Bremen in a nutshell. Now I'm going to go ahead and showcase what I can do in this thing in battle. So let's go ahead and check it out. Alrighty, guys, and here we are in battle with our Tier 10 German light cruiser, the Bremen. Now, I want to get one thing straightforward. If I didn't make it abundantly clear what this ship does, this ship through and through, guys, is a damage farmer. This is what this thing does. It griefs at medium to long ranges, and it completely frustrates the enemy and hopefully deters the enemy from pushing on your flank. That's what this ship does. Other ships that do this very well too are something like a Zhao, though a Zhao is a little bit stealthier. A Henry the Fourth, for example. I guess a Castilla. Like, all these ships do. Oh, and I guess if I want to throw in there the Hindenburg. All these ships do a similar thing, which is kite at medium to long ranges, and if ships get a little bit too careless, they can go ahead and swap to the armor piercing on their broadsides and do massive amounts of damage. And this is very similar. This thing holds true, carries true. It's nothing new. It's not rewriting the game by any means, or rewriting the way that the engagements go. This ship is just, once again, doing what other nations already do in the game, but it has its own flavor. Where other nations have, all the ones I listed, 203 millimeter guns that allow to, absolutely punish the enemies, this ship brings light cruiser guns, and a lot of them, which is 16. And as you can see, me and this other Bremen, which is ever so slightly behind me, is already griefing this Stalingrad. And again, this Stalingrad does not want to be in this situation, because as long as I respect his guns and angle accordingly, he'll do good, decent damage, but we will do way more damage to him, especially damage over time with our DPM, than he ever can dream of, and he won't be able to deal with it because he can't slot fire prevention like a battleship, and he will melt. He will absolutely melt, and we will pen, his nose, his ass, not necessarily his deck. I'm not too familiar. I think he has a 40 millimeter deck. I could be wrong. I haven't really looked at the Stalingrad in too long, though I should go back and do a review for you guys, because I know a lot of you are sitting on steel, and who knows, maybe some of you guys picked up this ship, right, or the Stalingrad. But anyways, I digress. We're just going to be kiting here at medium to longer ranges, and just griefing enemy ships who push into our main battery range. Again, this is just our standard range, guys. 18.1 is our base range with this build. I don't need any more range, and if I do happen to find myself needing that extra 20%, I can go ahead and pop my spotter plane, and I can get out to those ranges. Again, this spotter plane also allows me to peek over islands, look over islands, and potentially, if a enemy destroyer hasn't turned off his or her AA, I can go ahead and potentially get them detected for ever so slightly, or for a little bit of a split second there, and I can go ahead and hopefully pump in a salvo or two into him. Okay, that's what the spotter plane is here for. And again, I can also get an aerial view by pressing, I believe it's the C key, so I can know if I can see the Stalingrad's reversing. I can pinpoint my shots a little bit better on specific parts of the deck to hopefully get my fires up from maybe just a measly 1 to technically 2, 3, or God forbid, even 4. Okay? So that's my first tip, is definitely positioning. Again, and that's very critical for cruisers in this game, is your positioning. You have to know where to be and position your vessel to get the most out of her. Now, I will say this, during this battle, I thought at first when I initially watched this, or initially were playing it too, I was like, maybe I'm a little bit too far away. I think I might be a little bit too far away. I need to get a little bit, closer to my cruiser, or to my battleship, sorry, and help them out and assist them. But then I realized we have a double Republique division. There's an Ultrek and a Haragumo on our left. So I really can't push into that. There was still, or maybe there still is, a Stalingrad alive. And again, we have an Ohio here that I guess is just parking and reversing. Not really too sure what he's doing. All I can assure you is that is not how you're supposed to play the Ohio. So I really don't think I should be any more aggressive here. I think I'm in a good spot. I can grief with my fires. As he pops his damage control party, I can go ahead and hopefully set more and more fires on these guys. As long as I'm conscientious and know where the enemy threats are and mitigate them to the best of my ability, I think I'm in a good spot here, guys. And I really think that's another thing, too, that you can try to perfect that isn't just, again, applicable to the Bremen, but applicable to mostly every cruiser, is not only positioning, but having a little bit of situational awareness, reading that mini map and knowing where to go, knowing where the threats are. I understand the Haragumo is somewhere to my left, knowing that that's my only torpedo threat I have to worry about. So if my ass is facing him and I'm kited outward, I'm going to take full advantage of my gun firing angles and keep my range and my guns hot. That's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to keep on pumping and utilizing my DPM. Now, you saw the red flare go off. That's because, obviously, like I already mentioned, I'm running Gunther Luchins on my Bremen here. So that means I'm going to get a little bit of a DPM increase after landing. I think it's 140 main battery shell hits. I think I get like a 5% battery increase. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't looked at that skill in a little bit, and I didn't refresh myself before making the video, so I apologize. But for all of you out there that know what I'm talking about, I'm going to get even further DPM increase. And as you see there on the bottom, I've gone from 4.7 to 4.3. So that is pretty damn good sizable DPM increase that I will 100% take in order to hopefully eliminate these ships a little bit quicker and do a little bit more damage. Again, I have to mention this right now before it happens later on in the game. I do disconnect because I've actually switched my client over to Steam, and my complex, for some reason, every night at 11 o'clock, I lose internet access, and bada bing, bada boom, 11 o'clock comes around and I get disconnected. So you'll know it when the clip fades and reignites there later on in the video, but it does happen. Thank God, no harm, no foul given from that. Again, we're going to use our stealth to our advantage here. We're going to get a little bit closer as my spotting aircraft has gone down, but boom, we get relit again, so I know that enemy destroyer has to be pushing up. My guess is he's probably pushing way into the A line and probably coming across horizontally towards us. So we're going to go ahead and kite out. Again, this is a little bit dangerous. If this Republic pre-planned that I was going to be turning out, which he would be correct, he could have schwacked me, but he goes waterline instead and doesn't lead me appropriately, so I can go ahead and turn out. Now, again, I'm noticing that the other flank is kind of being pushed back a little bit. I'm assuming the enemy submarines over there are probably causing some havoc as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start assisting the opposite flank. Again, having that mini-map awareness is going to lead to higher damaging games and more game impact and longer survivability for you and your cruisers. Don't get tunnel visioned and only worry about your flank. You have to see what's going on the other flank too, because these battleships now, as accurate as they are, and as long range as these battleships are, they will take full advantage of your broadside, knowing that you're not paying them any mind and punish you. So please, please, please have your head on a swivel, guys. I was going to take full advantage of my armor piercing, seeing that Hindenburg was most likely going to be coming out flat broadside to me, but again, we lose vision of him, so I had to switch back to the HE. Right here, again, I just kept my barrels loaded with the AP because I don't run expert loader, and I don't really think you need it with 4-point-something seconds on this ship. Again, just my opinion. If you think you need it, go take it. I think you can utilize those one other points somewhere else, in my opinion. Like incoming fire alert. I'd rather use incoming fire alert on a ship like this than priority target. I really don't care how many people are going to be targeting me. All I need to know is when someone shoots me. And there's a good example of the armor's piercing. Absolutely pumping it in enemy broadsides. Please, if you play German ships, especially German ships, because their AP alpha is just so good, switch that armor piercing and take full advantage of that and chunk the upper superstructure. I'm not even really, or not superstructure, upper deck. I'm not really aiming for Citadel ribbons. If I happen to get Citadel ribbons, I get them. But more often than not, you're looking for the chunking shots, and that's exactly what you're going to get. Okay, we eliminate the Yodo there, and now we're switching to the Hawaii, which again is a big threat. I will go ahead and make a video on the Hawaii in a later date. That ship, in my opinion, I can honestly say right now and then, is flat out overpowered. Okay, the Hawaii is broken, and I don't understand why Warby Gaming released that ship in its current state. Oh, probably just to drive up you guys purchasing ships and, you know, influencing Santa crates, blah blah, and so on. So great marketing tactic, by the way. But again, didn't really intrigue me. This ship intrigued me. There we go. We go ahead and catch the enemy, 5644, I-5644 in a, using our hydroacoustic search. So we're going to go ahead and pump DPM first and drop our ASW later on him. And we're going to go ahead and get a direct hit on the guy. Again, we know that particular submarine is lethal with his torpedoes, and he has a lot of HP, so we're going to go ahead and make sure we drop. And we're going to launch torpedoes too, because he's more often than not going to try to sit on periscope depth and launch his non-homing torpedoes at us. But then again, if he has that one skill that can see that I will detect him instantly with my hydroacoustic search, he will not be inclined to do that. But again, he's out of battery, so he's forced to surface, and we go ahead and get him out of the game. Of course, our Slava takes advantage of that, but hey, it's a team game. Who's counting? But then again, now we can look back at the other flank and go ahead and assist them while going nose in to mitigate incoming damage potentially from the Stalingrad. And I think there might be a Yamato out there somewhere. Again, I can't really see the mini-map too well. My eyes, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But again, here is the disconnect. Boom, we disconnect, but we're going to go ahead and our game automatically turned us out and killed our engine. So again, no harm, no foul. I'm telling the team I disconnected because AT&T Wi-Fi at my complex is very, very ridiculously good. So we're going to go ahead and switch. We're going to go ahead and go to full throttle here and turn back in to re-engage. Again, we're sitting at 166,000 damage. This is nothing compared to what this ship is fully capable of doing, guys. And I want to highlight that this game it's good. It's a good game, but trust me, you go to other content creators, I'm sure they're showcasing far better games than this. I cannot stress enough the potential of this ship, especially in the meta nowadays, on what this ship can do. This is a farmer's dream ship, guys, what this ship can do. Again, it's what I bought. I can't recommend this ship enough for what it does, and I know you guys will love this ship, okay? Moving on to my final thoughts about this ship. Is it worth getting? Absolutely. Absolutely. If it's your one, you're sitting there as a cruiser main like I am, and you're thinking of what ship do I want? It's between the Hawaii and the Bremen. In my opinion, the Hawaii is good, but I see the Hawaii potentially getting changes later on down the road. Plus, it is a light cruiser. Yes, I know I said the Hawaii is broken, but I think the Bremen is just going to be a more enjoyable experience for more players. And I think the Bremen is just going to be, again, a bigger draw. Okay, that's just my opinion. I like this ship a lot, and I think this is my one, like, if I can recommend what ship I can recommend the most this Christmas from the three ships, the Aki, the Hawaii, and the Bremen, I'm going with the Bremen as my number one. Okay, the Bremen is my number one pick. I don't think you can go wrong with this ship for what it can do. Okay, 16 guns every 4.7 seconds. Potentially put Gunther Luchins on this puppy. Phenomenal. And again, we've all been searching for a German cruiser, light cruiser, especially for me, at tier 10 that isn't a hybrid like the Hildebrand. And this ship delivers that for us, okay? Number 2, 16 fucking guns, okay? I'll say it again. 16 fucking guns. That is a lot of DPM going down range, a lot of fire potential, and a lot of AP alpha coming out of the barrels of this thing every 4.7 seconds. Again, your concealment, yeah, max stealth build's only 3.1, but that's okay. We don't want to be playing up towards the front. We shouldn't be relying solely on our stealth anyways in this thing. We should have already positioned our ship in areas where we can take full advantage of that DPM, and it's going to increase our survivability and have the most game impact. That is where we want to position our Bremen, guys. And lastly with this ship, okay? The Bremen is a special ship. Yes, it doesn't have any improved credit income, blah, blah, and so and so, but that means you can put your max train commanders like mine from the mines up at tier 10 and already get the most out of her. And I think that she is just a great ship. I can see her in a competitive format being good. She's definitely good in a randoms format, and I can only imagine how good she's going to be in operations and or co-op or asymmetric battles if that's what you guys play as well. All in all, this ship is awesome, and I cannot give it my full and utter endorsement enough. Please get this ship. This ship is a blast, and it is strong, okay? Looking at the post-battle screen, guys, we got a 1 rank, 190,000 damage, and we finished with, what, 2,400 and some change on our base XP. Solid numbers, guys, but not phenomenal. Good, but not phenomenal. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.